Hello and welcome back to the Limit of Adhesion's Endurance League. My name's Mark and joining me in the commentary box is Steve. Steve, how you doing?
Konnichiwa! Welcome to Fuji. What a fantastic track this is. Some people love it, some people hate it, but I think let's give it a go and see how we can get around this fantastic track.
Yeah, what was that, Steve? Konnichiwa? Is that German?
Swedish, I think.
We'll have to get our resident Smurf to confirm or deny whether that is in fact Swedish.
As we can see, the Interlagos penalties there with Zach losing a place, and there was a place gained there for the second car.
So as we see Endurance GTP standings going into the race, we see Marian Hugavin on top, followed by Tuan Malarin. So we'll see if that changes in this race.
Yeah, this is the top 10 from the last round, so nothing's really changed there with the penalties. It's as you were.
So let's go straight to the grid then. Lining up on pole position, we have Marian Hugavin, and Malarin makes it an all-Wizards front row in P2, with Rob Miller and Zhao Tome on the second row. Dan Shaw and Maxwell making it a Wizards top 6, with Piers Berry, the first non-Wizard, in P7, Dan Hill P8, followed by Kelly and Parker, Stupid Aguri row 5, and Anil McLarrett row 6, with Chris White ahead of Chris Forrester. Lewis McManaman in P13, the sole GTP on row 7.
It looks as though those pictures were taken in the dark. That's how we're worried those monkeys again. Now, the GT3 grid, here we go, with Joshua Martinez taking pole, followed by David Ward. Second row is Jack Haynes and Jay Pratt. Row 3 is Kyle Hudson and Matthew Hansel, followed by row 4 with Ben Chalcraft and Mark Innes. We've got row 5 there, Powell Tempera and Clayton Buller, followed by Danny Chan and John Cook in P12. On row 7 we have Rich Meisters and James Pepper in our camel row there, and Fabio Oliveira and Steve Pepper on row 8 in P16, followed by row 9 Pete McIntyre and Zach Leopold in 18th place.
So we've got a nice full grid for today's round at Fuji. So as we see, the main picture there is the GTP field. The standings on the left are the wrong way round. Unfortunately, the monkeys are unable to fix that. So we've got the GT3 class in blue and the GTPs a bit below in gold. But in the main screen, you can see the GTPs, followed by the GT3 field in that small little box in the bottom left corner. So the pace car is taking the GTP field round, coming up to the final corner now. So we'll get this race underway very quickly.
Yeah, looking forward to this one, Mark. This will be a good race.
I think it will, yeah. I strangely enjoy Fuji. I know a lot of people dislike it, but I find it quite fun. I find it quite easy to get into a nice rhythm, a nice flow here.
Yeah, the temperature and what have you, the track is quite low, and we've also got a threat of rain maybe later on in the stint, so we'll keep an eye on that as well for everybody.
We do indeed. So as the pace car peels off, Marian Hugavin on pole position will decide when to smash that pedal into the floor, and away they go. We are racing at Fuji. Hugavin with a very nice start, absolutely leaving the rest of the field standing still. Miller, meanwhile, has managed to get ahead of Malarin. Malarin is still in third, though, as we see in the GT3 field have also launched, and Martinez has done the same as Hugavin and has just scampered away out in the front.
Yeah, that seems to be the way to do it this time. You just hit the loud pedal and try and make a break for it, and both Merrin and Josh have really taken the bull by the horns and having a real crack at it now.
Yeah. Meanwhile, behind Josh in the GT3 field, we did see Jack Haynes and David Ward going side by side. It looks like Ward has managed to keep that second place.
It's a bit deep there.
Hugavin very deep there, yeah. Very. Maybe it's just cold tyres, cold brakes. Didn't manage to get the car stopped.
Yeah, it's quite a long piece
Matthew
of track
Hansel, there. It is. Matt Hansel tucked up behind Innes. He does have a little bit of a look, but decides to stay behind. Meanwhile, looks as if most of... we've got contact. That was Malarin and Maxwell, I think. So that promotes Tomei up into 4th position. Dan Shaw up to 3rd. And there's the smoke just about clearing for the GT3 field to come through. This is on board with Matthew Hansel. A nice shot of that lovely GT3 there, that Ferrari of Innes. And Innes now actually right on the back of Jay Pratt. And in fact, yeah, Innes has got a good run here. We might see some action down into the first corner. Innes will have to be late on the brakes. Will he pull out? Yes, he does pull out. There we go. Can he get it stopped in time, though? He's got a little bit of a lunge, but he's got just about alongside. But Pratt had a very good exit there from turn 1, and I think he's going to keep the position into turn 3. It'll be an absolutely audacious move from Innes if he tries to take it around the outside. And that's on board with Chalcraft, and it looks like no, Innes didn't manage to get around, so Innes stays in 6th for the moment.
There. Oh, we have an incident that somebody's on about parking. Let's see if we get a replay of what's gone on.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's happened. Maybe we will see... Oh, in fact, there we go. There's a replay. Parker into the back of Hill. Hill goes round.
Oh, flying bonnet as well.
I think that was a flying bonnet, yeah.
Yeah, around Fuji, there's only really a couple of places you can line up and pass, and obviously down into that corner there for the chicane and the first corner, the turn 1. Those are favourite parking spaces. Look at me, passing places. Yeah, so we're going to see a lot of action down at those 2 corners, so look out for a few incidents and accidents as well.
Now, with a 1.5 hour race, this is going to be a bit of a test of endurance. Got to make sure that there's no lapses in concentration for the entire hour and a half. Got to make sure you keep hydration levels up, and that's just for us in the commentary booth. So these guys who are actually doing the racing, they've also got to do all of those things.
I think they'll get plenty of hydration later on in the race, to be honest.
Well, yes, if there is a threat of rain, and if that rain does come pouring down, these guys, well, they won't get wet because they've got these tin roofs. These aren't Formula cars. So, yeah, all the drives will stay nice and dry.
It will be interesting to see, though, if we do get rain, so whether the drivers stay on slicks or whether they're forced to go onto wet tyres.
We will have a look as Innes goes to the outside of Jay Pratt. He didn't manage to make the inside line, so he will have to try the long way around. And that becomes the inside line for the next corner, but still unable to quite finish that move. And now he's under pressure from Chalcraft behind.
Yeah, he's going to have to watch that attack from behind as well, because if he leaves the door open, then Ben Chalcraft will be straight through. And that looked like Chris Forrester around.
Forrester spinning. Doesn't look like there was any damage, so he should be able to continue.
Yeah, he sensibly gets off the track as well to let the following cars behind go through and then rejoin sensibly.
So now the issue that Innes has is that after all that attacking, as we see Stephen Maxwell getting back past the GT3 traffic, the issue that Innes is having, after fighting a little bit with Jay Pratt in front, he didn't get the move done, and now quite a big gap has opened up to Carl Hudson ahead. That gap is now over a second. So Jay Pratt will have lost the draft, which is a good thing for Innes. It might make it easier for him to pass, but it means that if he does get past, he will have a long way to the car ahead.
Yeah, it's vital he's that draft down those long straights to try and bridge the gap from the car that you've just passed to the one that you're trying to pass.
Yeah. Oh, there was a move. Looked like Hansel on Chalcraft, but Chalcraft's recovered well. He's got that position back, and now it looks like Paolo Tempera is going to try and make a move on Hansel as well. And will he get it stopped down into turn 10? He does, but doesn't quite get the move done. He does have the move done now, though. That is Tempera up to P9, and unfortunately, Hansel's going backwards as Danny Chan gets past almost immediately.
And it looks as though Clayton Buller was closing in the back of him as well to try and take the place of him in quick succession. So he's lost 2 places at the moment, I think, and Clayton looking to put a 3rd one on him.
So we're on board now with Hansel. He's in the slipstream. So we'll see if he can keep the top speed of that Audi up high enough to keep the position from Buller. Buller's quite a way back though. I think Hansel's probably going to be safe down into turn 1. If anything, he looks quite close to Chan. Meanwhile, up at the front, we've got the top 3 all nose to tail. That's Hugevin from Miller from Shaw. There they are.
That's going to be an interesting battle, so hopefully we'll get to see how that battle plays out in the next few laps.
And in fact, we see Dan Shaw now right up the back of Miller. Did have a cheeky little look, but not close enough. On board with Miller now through this tight and twisty sector. We saw Dan Shaw in the mirrors just have a cheeky little look.
I was just about to say that. He was swinging around looking for that little bit of an opening, a twinkling of a gap, and he just couldn't find it.
I wonder how much of that is genuinely trying for a move and how much of that is just trying to fill the mirrors of Miller, just get all in his mind, make it so that Miller's watching the mirrors more than the road.
Yeah, a little bit of gamesmanship goes a long way, doesn't it, sometimes?
Yeah. I wonder if... Well, I was going to say, I wonder if Innes has had a bit of a bad lap, but actually I think it's more that Jay Pratt's managed to reset his mind and has clawed his way back to Carl Hudson. So yeah, that gap in front of him was coming down as we see Miller still ahead of Shaw and now pulling to the outside to try and get a move done on Hugevin, but doesn't make it work, will he? Oh, Shaw goes up the inside. There was a lock of the rear brakes. We've had carnage in the GT3 field. That was Tempera and Mises, I think. But in all of that, it... Oh, sorry, it was Mises into the back of Oliveira, not Tempera. I think I got those 2 confused at the last round in Interlagos as well.
Yeah, it doesn't take much. Livery's been so much similar.
Dan Shaw, meanwhile, briefly into the lead before Hugevin stole that lead back. Still these 3, nose to tail, as they break for turn 10. Hugevin just about keeping it ahead. And that battle rages on.
I think these monkeys have got a pay rise.
They have indeed. Watching 2 battles at once. As we see Shaw round the outside of Hugevin. That will become the inside for the final corner. Shaw very temporarily ahead, but how much longer that will remain, I don't know, because Hugevin did look like he got a very good run out of the final corner. We get a little bit of draft from these GT3 cars.
Going to be close to this for T1.
As they head down to T1, who will be last of the late breakers? And more importantly, who will be ahead out of turn 1? It looks as if Shaw has not kept that place. Hugevin managed to get him on the exit.
Yeah, nice pass there on the inside.
So we see Hansel and Tempera. What's happened here in the bottom left?
Nice little pass there from Tempera on Hansel.
And there is Hill and Tempera. And yeah, Hill up the inside just forces Tempera wide.
There won't be much damage from that. Just a nice little kiss as they went through the corner there. It won't do much damage.
Yeah, I'm sure both cars will be fine. As we see this section of track now getting very busy. Jay Pratt all over the back of Carl Hudson, who's all over the back of Jack Haynes. And that's Jay Pratt into the back of Hudson. He's round, makes contact with Innes.
Ooh.
And that's Tomei round after being collected as well. I think there was another GTP involved in that as well.
Yeah.
Innes well off the road in the background there.
Here we have.
So there we go. Pratt into the back of Hudson. Hudson then floors the throttle, takes out 2 of the GTPs.
That looked like Berry and maybe
Zhao Tomei.
And then Tomei just turns slightly as he's going backwards into Piers Berry again. That's unfortunate.
That is, and I think, unfortunately, that one will be referred to the stewards. So that was a rather dramatic end to the lap.
I don't know about you, but 16 minutes feels like a lifetime at the moment.
It really does. Meanwhile, we've
still
still got
outrageous.
this battle for the top 3. So we've got Hoogeveen ahead of Shaw, ahead of Miller for now. And nothing much is certain except for one thing. I very much doubt that those 3 will stay in that exact order for the rest of the race.
Yeah, it's a close battle, and all 3 drivers are capable of taking this win.
All 3 of them most certainly are. So as these GT3 drivers try to regroup from that drama 1 lap ago,
You can have it done.
we see Tempera just behind Jalgraft. As we see, that was Chris White, I think, going very quickly. We heard on the radio Maren Hoogeveen conceding defeats temporarily to Dan Shaw. And Miller, in all of that, has managed to get ahead and actually get a little bit of a gap up the front, which is something that I never thought I'd say. Not, of course, to say anything about the talented Rob Miller. He's insanely talented, more so that those 3 have been nose to tail for the past 17 minutes and 33 seconds.
Yeah, already.
As we see Chalcraft to the inside of Tempera.
Sorry, Matt, I was just going to say,
Chalcraft
already
place.
12, 13 seconds clear of Tom Mallowan in 4th place. So, although they're actually battling between themselves, they're not holding each other up, and they're actually almost seem as though they're pushing each other to the limit to break away.
Although, having said that, Mallowan did have that, was it first lap contact with Stephen Maxwell. So,
Yes,
actually,
yes,
Mallowan's done very well to recover up to 4th. So, a little bit of space now between these 3. So, the GT3 field, we have Tempera still on the back of Chalcraft. That battle's been going on for quite a while, actually.
It has very closely matched.
Yeah, it feels like certainly the top. Well, we've got the few at the front that have sort of checked out, like Martinez and Ward. But actually, that battle from Jack Haynes all the way down to sort of Matt Ansell, Danny Chan, Clayton Buller, that's all been fairly close, sort of for the entire start of the race. And now, as we see Chalcraft ahead of Tempera. Tempera was just finding himself with a mirror full of Matt, that being Matt Hansel. So we are approaching 20 minutes into this race. That means an hour and
Jack made a hash of that.
as we hear Forrester just apologising for maybe being a little bit too rough with one of the GT3s. They are very delicate, these GT3 cars. They can't be bashed around too much.
A bit like the drivers.
Indeed. So, Steve, we should probably talk about strategy at some point. So, what do you think is going through the drivers' minds?
Oh, excuse me. I would think that they'll be looking at getting the first stint out of the way, and then they'll be looking at the weather forecast or obviously the temperature of the track if it starts to give some sort of clues with it coming down in temperature. I mean, at the moment it's 24.4 degrees. If that started hitting like 22, 21 degrees, they'd be looking at the skies and thinking, well, look at that there, sky there. It's very, very dark and dingy, so they'd be hoping they can get the first stint out of the way, and then looking at the rain tyres and things like that for the second stint, trying to eke it out maybe. But we'll see what happens with the weather, because the weather will play a massive part in the strategy that these drivers will take.
Yeah, I think it's certainly going to be interesting when the rain falls, if it does indeed fall. Of course, we're talking about strategy and the ideal time to switch to wet tyres. I mean, there's not even been a drop of rain on the track so far, so I think that's a little bit premature.
But as we keep saying, and people keep saying that, you have to be on the correct tyres at the correct time for the conditions that you're racing. So it'll be interesting to see if that rain does come, whether there is a switch straight to wet tyres, or whether people try to stay out and make the slicks work. If it's only a little drizzle.
Yeah, I think that'll very much depend on how much rain there is. But I think, as you said, Steve, you need to be on the right tyres for the conditions at that very moment. And I think we can all agree that the right tyres at this moment are dries.
Oh, definitely.
So we'll see. Well, I think we'll expect first pit stops maybe in sort of 10-15 minutes or so, maybe?
Yeah, I think so, but yeah, maybe 20 minutes.
Yes, just trying to see Miller there getting past Steve Pepper. Yeah, he's built the gap up to Dan Shaw to just over a second.
Yeah, I was just about to say that, I'm not sure how many laps the GTPs can get out of this out of a tank for Fuji, so we're probably looking at about another 6 laps for the GTPs and maybe another 10 laps for the GT3s.
Yes, of course, last race at Interlagos, we did see quite a few sort of varying strategies, some of which were less than ideal, as we see Chris White with a little bump into the back of Hudson there and going wide as he locks the brakes. Looks to have recovered well, minimal damage, but that's obviously not what he wants.
That let his teammate through as well, so it's although it's position, it's team-wise, it was just a swap of drivers.
And now, here is Clayton Buller, who, as I check the standings, I think I'm right in saying he is currently leading the animals battle.
Yep, he is at the moment.
Because we've got, in fact, yeah, Clayton Buller's the only animal in the top 9. As we see, there's Steve Pepper in 13th. I think Innes is in 14th. Mises is further down the road. I'm not sure what other animals are on the grid tonight.
Yeah, I've been trying to look through, and I don't think there's any tortoises. I think there's just.
In fact, Pete. There we go. He's a llama.
Yes, he is.
They're in 12th. So yeah, we'll have to watch that battle towards the end of the race. Innes, of course, was that leading animal driver before getting involved in that incident with Carl Hudson. So I think Innes has dropped right down the order, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see how quickly he can recover up the field. Dan Shaw now, still on the back of Miller. Miller's extended that gap to about a second and a half. Both of those two, however, have pulled away quite rapidly from Meren Hugavin. It's not often that we're able to say that someone's pulling away from Hugavin.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's Meren Auto that's pulling away from the rest of the field. So a cracking job there by both Rob and Dan.
You see Miller, currently the overall leader on lap 15, just making his way through some GT3 traffic. And with that gap being up to a second and a half, it's giving him a little bit of breathing room. He's got enough time just to take a step, take a breath, before he dive bombs. Oh, I heard what sounded like an engine exploding in the background there. Everyone appears to be moving. Doesn't look like there's any yellow flags, so I'm not sure if I'm hearing things.
It did sound like it. I'm just wondering whether somebody hit the kitty litter, and that's what it sounded like.
Could have been, yes. Anyway, there is Hugavin, just making his way past Chalcraft now. Chalcraft up to 5th. As we see, Malarin is now 14 seconds off the lead. Make that 15. And yeah, he's closing in on Hugavin actually. He's got that gap down to about 10 seconds.
I'm not sure there's a bit of a touch there from McManaman on Stephen Maxwell, or it was just a slight loss of control.
There could very well have been a touch. I know it's very easy in these cars. Just, if you have a little tap, it's quite easy to then go emulating Kylie Minogue and spinning around.
Ooh, those hot pumps.
So we've got Tempera, and now that gap to Chalcraft looks like it's opening up slightly. It's about 6/10. So Tempera able to just about keep up with Chalcraft. Chalcraft's not able to escape, but I've not seen Tempera able to get close enough to put any moves on. They both have... Oh, that's a little bit too wide there for Chalcraft.
That was nearly death by sausage.
Death by sausage, what a way to go. To be honest, from me, it looked... Oh, and that's Tempera round. I'm not sure if there was a little touch there with Hansel, but Tempera is round. I was going to say with Chalcraft, I wonder if he maybe sort of decided that he was a pigeon and tried to fly away.
Possibly. Just a replay there. I think there was no touch.
I don't think that was a touch.
A dangerous rejoin as well there. Neil, the GTP diving down the inside as Tempera was rejoining the track. But yeah, I don't think there was any contact there. It was just a shallow line into the corner that caused him to lose control, lose traction.
This, however, looks like it is going to be an absolutely brilliant scrap Fabio Oliveira 2/10 ahead of Pete McIntyre, who's 2/10 ahead of Steve Pepper.
Pepper moving to the inside there.
Yeah, Pepper will want to be late on the brakes. Will he get the move done? No, I think he's backed out of that one. Oh, no, he's gone for it. He's through. Shame we didn't get that on camera. We'll have to play the monkeys slightly more. Or with whole peanuts. But now that Pepper's made his way through, his eyes will be firmly set on Oliveira in front. Meanwhile, the Cool Camel Racing Team Discord is probably going crazy right now as they celebrate passing their fiercest rivals, the Formula Llamas.
Well, it's fiercest llamas with fiercest rival with Clayton. Clayton seems to have this serious hatred for camels. No idea why. Maybe he's allergic to them.
Sorry, John, that wasn't so good.
So, Pepper now going to the inside on Oliveira.
Sorry, Chris.
Oliveira goes a little bit wide. Looks like Pepper's going to have that spot, but with this being the final turn, Oliveira's going to get an absolutely monstrous exit and launch his Ferrari down that main straight.
No problem, mate.
And look at that, Pete McIntyre's coming with him. So Pepper could now see him lose 2 positions in the space of a few hundred metres.
Last of the late breakers here with 3 wide.
Yep, they're going 3 wide. Pete McIntyre backs out of it. Pepper late on the brakes and absolutely launches himself past Oliveira and past the edge of the racetrack as well.
Yeah, that's
he rejoins safely. He will have the inside. Sorry, Steve. Oh, 2 wide. That was absolutely fabulous racing.
Yeah, lots of respect there shown by both drivers.
And Pepper keeps the position. That was marvellous racing between those two. And Hills got... Oh gosh, Hills got himself beached on top of a barrier. I didn't think that was possible, but there you go.
As Clayton Buller would say, what a blither.
I wonder if no one's told Dan Hill that works better when you buy the barrier dinner first.
Spit it out, man. Not your dinner.
Right, João Tomé has made his pit stop. He's now 8 laps into that stint. He is down in 11th. Now with Chalcraft imitating a pigeon and Tampere going for a spin, that's released Matt Hansel, who is now 5 seconds or so up the road from this pair. So Hansel showing very good pace. And here's a look at Buller versus Chan.
Sorry about that, Danny.
Sorry indeed. Buller doing the very gentlemanly thing and letting Chan back past after committing just a little bit of murder.
Yeah, that's good to see. This battle between Pepper and Oliveira is going right to the wire again, look.
It is indeed. See, Hansel still in 5th. He's letting 2 GTPs past. GTPs of Chris White and then Stephen Maxwell. Maxwell recovering after that first lap incident with Marin. And Pepper's round. A nice little flick turn there. Nice. And lets his teammate of Innes past. But yeah, that's very unfortunate for Pepper after having such good racecraft earlier on in the race. And that's Oliveira around. McIntyre through. I think there was a little touch there from Hugavin.
Yeah, there could quite possibly be just on that inside there.
So that spin for Oliveira has let Innes through.
Ooh, another very close rejoin there as the GTP and GT3 came through the corner. It might have been
Innes had
better
to
to
slam on
just
the brakes
wait
there.
slightly. Yeah, that was Code Brown time.
Definitely, yeah. So that was Lewis McMahon getting a little bit squirrely. But it's all okay for now, as we see Maxwell navigating through Jack Haynes. So, despite having his spin earlier, Tempera is, in fact, yeah, so Danny Chan and Clayton Buller, despite having their incident down at turn 1, they're now right on the back of Paolo Tempera. Charles Raft has managed to escape and is sort of about 6 or 7 seconds down the road.
Yeah, Rob Miller's made a real break now. He's 5 seconds clear of Dan Shaw. Great effort.
That is brilliant. And yeah, he's got 14 seconds on Hugavin. So yeah, Miller's managed to hit the front and just check out.
Yeah, I wonder if traffic's had a little bit to do with that as well, where the GTPs have caught traffic in just the wrong place for Dan Shaw, but Rob Miller's...
Oh, that's Danny Chan. That's going... He's managed to hold it.
Yeah, well done, nice catch. Yeah, like I say, maybe Dan Shaw caught the traffic
hey, Dan,
just in the wrong place.
The world there, man. That's
Rob Miller just
flips you like that.
I don't think Danny was happy with that. There's a nice clean overtake there from Merrin Hugavin.
And Forrester getting past Meesters.
Danny, you have the smallest amount of damage I spotted on the rear right.
Oh, Clayton
nice
there
bit
just
of
informing Danny about a little bit of damage, yeah. So now we've got a bit of a gap forming. So we've got the top 9 in the GT3 field. Then there's quite a bit of a... Oh, sorry, the top 10. What's happened to Innes? He was momentarily in the top 10.
Yeah, he's down to 13th. Has something happened? Has he had an incident?
I'm not sure. I'm sure if he has an incident, if we pay the replay monkeys enough, they will be able to show us. Or maybe it's the standings monkeys that are playing games.
The GT3 into the pit lane. Good race, Rob.
As we see, what's happened with Maxwell's pit entry, and that's a little too late on the brakes. And is he going to Austin Powers it? He is going to Austin Powers it.
There he goes. Well done, Stephen. Good effort.
So Hudson now has worked his way back up to be just behind Rich Meesters. So as we see White go past, Hudson will be trying to spy any opportunity to get past. Meesters there in the Mustang. And Meester's looking like his car's got a little bit of damage on the front end.
Yeah, I'm trying to think whether Meester's had... Oh, he's got a little bit deep there. I was just trying to think whether Meester's had some sort of incident earlier on where he'd had a connect with the rear of another car. Excuse me, but I can't think of it.
He definitely has had an incident
In the first corner,
T1. Start.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't remember who that was with.
It was either Tempera Oliveira. Is one of them.
Oh yes,
two.
That's right.
So that would suggest that that's where the damage came from.
I think you're right, Steve.
And the first pit stops are starting to come into play now. So this will be interesting to see how the strategies start to play out now.
So that's Innes now up to 6th, due to the fact that he has made that early pit stop after being collected in that Hudson incident. Meanwhile, Hugavin has pitted, as has Malarin. Miller is still out in front. Oh no, sorry, Miller's just pitted, he's on his outlap. What's happened to Dan Shaw?
I think Dan said something in the in comms.
He did
about
say something on the radio,
he got
yeah.
a drive-through or something for passing
was it a
GT3. I'm not sure it was drive-through or what it was, but there's a contact
that's
there.
Miller round.
Let Hugavin through.
Now, I wonder, did Miller take tyres and Hugavin didn't? That's the only thing I can think of, because Miller was, 15, 20 seconds ahead of Hugavin before the pit stops. He'd built up that huge gap, and now suddenly that's disappeared, and after that spin, he's now handed the lead to Hugavin.
Yeah, I'm not sure why you not take tyres though on a refuelling. If you don't think it's going to rain, and it's a dry track, why would you take the risk of worn tyres?
So, and in fact, tyres are changed at the same time as your fuel, so I wonder if Hugavin, either Hugavin's not filled a full tank and has sort of just done a bit of a splash and dash, not quite sure why you'd do that so early on in the race, or something happened to Miller in the pit stop.
Well, there was some sort of tactical wizardry going on, so to speak, at Interlagos, where there was one or two that had short fueled in the first stint to try and get some sort of positional gain. So maybe this is part of the strategy. We're coming up to halfway through the race as well now.
We are indeed. I think now everyone has made their first pit stop.
And just take a look now, the track temperature has just decreased again down to 22.8 degrees. So maybe the air temperature and track temperature started to decrease.
Meanwhile, at the front of the field, we have Martinez from Ward from Haynes in the GT3 field, Hugavin from Miller from Malarin now in the GTP and overall class. So still the battle between Buller and Chan rages on. And I don't know about you, Steve, but I'm looking at that and I just saw rain.
Yeah, I did see rain. it's on, and the track temperature again decreases. So this is going to be interesting to see all these cars that have made the initial stops. Are they going to come in for wet tyres, or are they going to try and eke it out as much as they possibly can on slicks? It doesn't look as though it's actually fully raining all the way around the track, so it looks as though it's coming in from one side.
Yeah, so we will see who will dive to the pits, who will keep braving it out on the slick tyres. And yeah, that is definitely raining.
Yeah, it looks as though it's just in that that top corner there of the before the start-finish straight. So that slice there, and it's just starting to move across the track.
Yeah, now into turn 3 and 4 as well. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see who dives to the pits first. Who takes a gamble? Who goes for wets immediately? And oh, I thought Hugvin was going to dive for the pits there. No, he's just overtaking a GT3.
Yeah, they'd be looking at when the lap times start to drop off, and then as they cross over, starts to appear where it's faster on slicks, or my apologies, faster on the wets. Then they'll dive in, but they'll be looking for those times to drop off first before they look at popping in for a pit stop.
Now, we've got the likes of Innes, Hudson and Meesters in the GT3 field and Tomei in the GTP field. They are all due a pit stop in the next few laps. So this is going to be absolutely crucial for those guys. What tyres will they put on? Will they risk going on a set of slicks? Or will they be forced to put on wet tyres? Is it too early for wets? I think at the moment it probably still is.
I think it is, yeah. I mean, the track's still reading as a dry track, so I can't see anybody going on slicks, on wets.
And, that's Millar in round. And he collects Pepper as well. And I think I saw Pepper's front wing fly off in a different direction to his car.
Yeah, that could be a meatball for the unfortunate Pepper there.
Definitely. And as we see another replay, that's Millar into the inside, tries to get both Pepper and Tempera.
Sorry, Dan was a bit indecisive then.
All good. Yeah, you feel for Pepper in that situation. There's not a lot he could have done about that.
No, I think that one will go to the stewards.
I'm sure it will.
It looked like Stupid Iguris were both coming in into the pits there in line of stern.
Yeah, so that's certainly a bold move if they're going for slicks. If they're going for wets.
Yeah, as we can see, the precipitation's gone up to 1% now, so it's definitely raining all over the track.
Yeah, and those guys that I mentioned earlier, Innes, Hudson, Meesters, Tomei, all those guys that are going to have to pit in the next few laps because they just don't have enough fuel to run any longer. Those guys will be practically doing a rain dance in their car, just willing, begging, praying for it to rain just that little bit harder, or stop completely and take that decision out of their hands.
Yeah, and track conditions are starting to decrease now. It's nice. It's on mostly dry, so we are seeing a deterioration in both track temperature and the track conditions.
Yeah, and of course, if you are on a wet track on slick tyres, if you've been running those slick tyres for 20 odd laps like the other drivers have, then they're going to be nice and warm, nice and toasty. They're not going to struggle as much in these conditions. those guys that do have to pit in the next few laps, that put on stone cold tyres, they are gonna have an absolute awful time for the first few laps until they can get some temperature into them.
I think you might as well just strap a loaf of bread to your wheels. That's as much good as they'll be.
Well, I don't know about that. You strap some bread to your wheels, the heat will toast the bread nicely. You can have some, you can have a nice bit of toast while you're driving.
I never thought about that. You might have a bloke in just at your window shouting "Flora." Get him off your windscreen.
Oh dear. So as we see Hugavin try and navigate the traffic. Oh, that's Pepper, going very wide. That's Tempera, almost went off the track. And yeah, I think it's just getting very slippery out there.
Yeah, either that or Mary Hugavin just trying to knock everybody off to get through. So, on your toast, jam or marmalade?
Oh, I'm going to go controversial and say Marmite.
Marmite?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a Marmite moment. No, it's got to be blackcurrant jam for me.
Blackcurrant jam?
Blackcurrant jam, yeah. I'm an absolute pig for it.
I don't think I've ever even had blackcurrant jam.
It's beautiful. Yes.
Come to think of it, why is orange jam marmalade? Like, what's so special about oranges that they get their own special name for their jam? Anyway, I think we've gone a little bit off topic.
Answer the postcard. leave a like and subscribe.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing that I never thought I'd say. Leave us a comment down below and tell us which type of jam you prefer.
Is it jam, marmalade, or Marmite?
Fair. Well. So yeah, leave us a comment down below and tell us what you prefer. Meanwhile, we have Meesters, who's a lap down, fighting with Buller and Tempera. Now, I'm not sure what tyres these guys were all on, but Meesters was looking very quick.
Yeah, it actually looked as though Clayton Buller had taken the escape road there and gone through the chicane.
Yeah, but then, so in the second shot, it looks like, oh, and we've got a mechanical failure for Miller. That's him straight into the wall. That's our former race leader, out of the race.
Yeah, that's absolutely gutting for Rob. Oh, so sorry to see that.
That was very unfortunate. And that, meanwhile, has given Hugavin an absolutely massive lead. 21 seconds over Malarin, who's another 22 seconds ahead of Berry. So, as we approach the hour mark in this race, the top three in the GT3 field, as they were, Martinez from Ward from Jack Haynes. The top three in the GTP field, however, all change. Hugavin from Malarin from Berry. As we see, there is our race leader in the GT3 field, Josh Martinez.
Yeah, it's a very steady change in conditions. There's nothing drastically. The rain seems to be at a steady level, so I think at the moment it'd be a bit premature going on to wets.
Yeah, well, some of these drivers that were due to pit, Innes, Tomei, Meesters, I'm not sure what tyres they've all gone for, but you have to think, surely they must have gone for dry tyres.
I would think so, yes, at this stage of the race.
I just don't think it's wet enough to go for wet tyres at the moment.
No, it's still a dry track, so on a dry track, the wet tyres will just burn up within a couple of laps, and it'll be like skating on ice.
But then, for all we know, it could be about to rain even harder.
Yeah, I mean, there's a strong possibility there. It just depends how the rainfall comes in and alters the track surface.
Yeah, I'm getting confirmation that Rich Meesters is in fact on wet tyres. So we'll have to keep an eye on his lap times as... Oh, that was Paolo Tempera, I think, doing his best pigeon impression. In fact, I probably shouldn't call it a pigeon impression. It's probably more like a chicken impression, because have you ever seen a chicken fly? Yeah, they can flap their wings. They can sort of try and...
Half fly, yeah.
Yeah.
They go up and come back down again, don't they?
Yeah, which I think is exactly what Tempera and Chalcraft earlier on in the race both did.
I think you're right. Let's call them... It's a chicken, not a pigeon.
Yeah. So, we know that Meesters is on wet tyres, so we'll have to keep an eye on how he performs. I think, yeah, looking at the rain coming down, I think it's certainly not the right tyre for this exact moment. I think he's just going to burn his tyres up, as we saw. Who was that spinning?
I'm not sure it's Jay Pratt.
I thought it might have been Jay Pratt. That's who I was going to suggest, so... In fact, it wasn't. It was Hudson.
Yep. Just a little touch there. Just sent him round, and he collected. I think that was Chris White.
Chris White.
That's unfortunate for Chris there. He might have done some damage to the back wheel as well.
And I think, again, that's another incident that could have been avoided had Carl Hudson held his brakes. So, I don't think the stewards are going to be too happy with that.
I think that's Pepper on wet tyres as well.
Is that Pepper on wet tyres?
I think that is Pepper on wet tyres, yeah.
Alright, so let's see his times relative to those around him. Also, we have confirmations that...
My apologies, go on.
So yeah, we have confirmation as well that Innes did in fact go for dry tyres.
Now, like I said, there is now a crossover between the track being wet and dry, so it'll be interesting to see what these drivers do now that the track is registering as, was it very slightly wet? So there's a definite change in the conditions.
So we've seen the first drivers to blink and come in for wet tyres. The rest of the field, we'll see how soon they decide to make the switch to wet tyres. So let's do a bit of a rundown of... Should we do the top 10, Steve? As we approach the 1 hour mark of this race. So, leading overall, we have Hugavin from Malarin, Berry, Maxwell, and Forrester is your top 5 in the GTPs, followed by Tome, White, Kelly, McManaman, and Parker, rounding out the top 10. Of those, just looking now, as we see Kelly go round.
Sorry.
And that looked like he collected Jack Haynes as well.
Yeah, that looked like another unfortunate incident where the brakes weren't quite held as they should be as well. That'll be going to the stewards for adjudication.
I'm sure it will. In fact, here we have a replay of what happened. So, in fact, yeah, that was McManaman into just clipping Kelly slightly. Kelly goes round, and yeah, I think Kelly definitely, well, he probably could have held his brakes a little more, but actually I wonder if Haynes was going to collect him anyway. But as you say, it's gone to the stewards. We'll see what they say.
So we do the top 10 for the GT3s. We've got Joshua Martinez 6.2 seconds up the road. Both from David Ward, who are both clear now of Jack Hayes. Matthew Hansel, Ben Chalcraft bring up the round up the top 5. Then Jay Pratt in 6th after his incident, and Powell and Tempera now in. He's just passed Jay Pratt. And then Clayton Buller in 8th. Mark Innes now 9th. And Fabio Oliveira in 10th position.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, unfortunately, I think as we see Pepper go a lap down to the likes of Oliveira and Cook.
Oh, that looks as though Steve Pepper had lost the control of the car there. Unfortunate.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think his gamble on wet tyres has paid off. I think it was probably a few laps too early. But meanwhile, the question remains, when will the leading drivers come in for wet tyres? We see Lewis McManaman into the pits. Is he going for wets? Does he think that now is the time? As we see, in fact, that's Berry now ahead of Malarin. What's happened to Malarin?
Yeah, some sort of incident. Hopefully we'll get a replay of it. Unless he hasn't been in the pits, as far as I can see.
Doesn't look like it, no. Although, having said that, yep, we've got confirmation that he is in the pit lane. He has swapped to wet tyres.
There we go. Rain getting heavy as well now.
Nice little fight between Oliveira and Cook there. As we see, that's White off the road. And that's White off the road in the replay as well. So, not sure if he got damage.
I think he's gone over the bollards. Yeah.
Is he trying to limp it back to the pits? As we see,
Oliveira going into pits.
Yeah, going for wet tyres perhaps?
Possibly.
Be interesting to see Innes's lap times, given that we know that he's on dries, and how... Oh, in fact, the rest of the field was still on dries as well. Ignore me. So Hugavin now is into the pits and has put on some wet tyres. That promotes Berry up to the lead.
It'd be interesting to see if Piersbury goes any further, or whether he darts in and gets the tyres changed as well.
Yeah, well, I think in his position, he was quite a way behind Hugavin. And actually, he had quite a gap to... was it Tomei behind?
Yeah.
So, realistically, if you're Berry, maybe, do you want to roll the dice a bit, stay out? Because, if you follow what the leader's doing, you're guaranteed to get P2. As we see, that's Tempera off the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you follow the leader, you're guaranteed P2. If you try something different, he's maybe got the space behind him to...
Is Tempera going round?
That is, yeah. I don't know, I think you're never going to beat the leader just by following what they do. So yeah, if I was Berry, I'd be thinking about doing something different, maybe staying out as long as possible.
Yeah, there's another risky rejoin there as well, just in front of Stephen Maxwell, so he was lucky not to run into the back of him.
So meanwhile, we've got the two cubed motorsport cars there, Dan Hill and Lewis McManaman, in formation. As we see, there is our leader, Piersbury, getting past Innes. He's worked his way up to 8th now. Jay Pratt ahead has pitted and fitted the wet tyres, so yeah, this will be a good test for those guys sort of in the top half of the GT3 field. Now that we're starting to get some more guys pit for wet tyres, we'll have to watch their lap times. As we see, Jay Pratt there 2 seconds slower than Innes that lap. So maybe it is still okay for slick tyres.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if it was, but yeah, if you can make it stick, you've got to keep out on those slick tyres as long as you possibly can, I suppose.
Yeah, Martinez and Ward have also just pitted, as has Chalcraft. And just like that, Steve, we're approaching the 1 hour and 10 minute mark. So actually, as the rain comes down, we've only got 20 minutes of this race left.
We have. Yeah, it's absolutely flown by.
And actually, although the conditions look awful out there, but actually if these guys are able to still do respectable lap times on the slick tyres, as we see Jack Haynes out front has already put a second over our previous race leader, Joshua Martinez, who has been the class in the field the entire race.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, if you can make it stick and you can keep it going on slick tyres, there's no reason to come in at the moment to change for wet tyres. However, if that changeover has already taken place and it's slower to be on the slicks than it is the wets, because you can't keep the temperature in the tyres, it makes sense to come in for the wet tyres.
Yeah,
we'll see what
right
Joshua Martinez does in the next couple of laps. In fact, my apologies, Jack Haynes in front at the moment because Josh has pitted already.
You're right there.
This is John Cook looking like coming into the pits.
Yeah, so who's left on slick tyres in the GT3 field then? You've got Jack Haynes out the front, Clayton Buller still on dries. We know that Innes was on dries. It'll be close. I'm not sure if Innes has to make another pit stop. I think Innes can probably go to the end on fuel.
It just depends on tyres, I suppose, for Innes this time.
Yeah, exactly. As we see, this is Maxwell onto the back of Gavin Kelly. Maxwell takes a tighter line. He's going to try it around the outside, but that's very optimistic. But he gets a good launch out of the final corner. And as they head down the main straight, looks like Kelly just has the speed at the moment.
It's going to be close under braking.
It will be. Meanwhile, Innes has caught up to Jay Pratt. As we see
Maxwell
Jack Haynes.
Just got a bit squirrely there in the braking zone.
He did. So Jack Haynes, who did lead a couple of laps, has now pitted. So that leaves, I think, just Innes and Buller left on dry tyres in the GT3 field. And Piers Berry, I think, is the only GTP driver left on slick. Left on slicks.
Yeah, I think everybody else has pitted.
Apologies if you can hear some slight whines there. It appears that a dog has managed to make his way into the commentary booth.
A little dog.
A very little dog indeed. So, meanwhile, we have Hugavin, who, actually, that gap to Piers Berry has remained fairly stable, to be honest. So, we'll see. Berry's done a 139.3. What can Hugavin do? We wait the 16 or so seconds, a 138. So, yeah. We're still not quite... Well, we're about at that crossover range. I don't think there is a definitive answer just yet about which tyre is best to be on. Well, having said that, I can see that Innes has just got past Jay Pratt. Innes, of course, still on the slick tyres. So I think if you did have heat in your slicks, yeah, it appears they are.
The question is, can he go to the end of the race on those tyres?
Well, he can probably go to the end of the race on fuel. We've only got 15 minutes left.
Ooh, that was a big check up there for Tomalari.
So, just looking at the GT3 field, Innes could possibly go to the end on fuel. Whether he decides to pit earlier to get the wet tyres is another matter. Clayton Buller, though, does have to pit again in probably about 3 or 4 laps. So, yeah, we'll see which tyres he chooses.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how, because he's only about 6-7 seconds in front of Mark Innes. 9 seconds. 9 seconds. So obviously, if Clayton was to pit now, He dropped right down the order, and obviously the number one animals would be the camels. Oh, a replay there. That's Gavin Kelly just overshooting turn one. Well collected there, though.
So meanwhile, in the GTP field, Berry still holding that lead. He does also have to pit in the next 3 or 4 laps, but that lead, that gap back to Hugavin is really starting to come down now. So I think Berry, yeah, he's gone a little bit too long.
Yeah, with 15 minutes remaining in the race, that
As you see,
has Painsbury gone in the pits?
I think he might have done, yeah. As we see Buller fighting with Jack Haynes. Haynes obviously on the wet tyres. Buller still trying to survive on slicks. And in the background we saw Pratt on wets fighting Innes on slicks. So now we know Buller has to pit again for fuel. What he could do though, if he decides that his slick tyres are working while he's got heat into them, he could try just coming in for a little splash and dash. I think that's absolutely barking mad, but it's possible.
Delama's back.
Oh, that's a good question. What noise do llamas
Answers
make?
on a postcard. Answers on a postcard. Delama's back.
And yeah, I think Innes has dived to the pit lane. He's decided enough is enough. So we'll see where he feeds out. Meanwhile, Jack Haynes has in fact got ahead of Clayton Buller. Will we see Clayton Buller dive to the pits this lap or next lap? And will he fit the wet tyres? Meanwhile, there is Piers Berry. He's only dropped down to third, so that's a good pit stop for him. He's about 10 seconds or so ahead of João Tomé.
Yeah, that's it. It's going to be close. Obviously now he's got his tyres up to temperature, and it's going to be a great result for him if he can keep this position.
Now the question on Clayton Buller's mind: if he chooses to pit now, what's going to be...
Oh, contact.
Oh, as we see contact, Oliveira manages to keep it pretty much on the road. He goes a little bit wide. Does lose a place to Carl Hudson though. Yeah, the question in Clayton Buller's mind, as he will have to pit in the next lap or so, what will lose him more time? Changing his tyres or trying to survive the last 10 minutes? So that's what, maybe 6 or 7 laps on slick tyres.
Yeah, just come up to 120 mark, so an hour and 20. So coming into the last 10 minutes, it's going to be interesting to see how this strategy works out with people having tyres that are a little bit younger as well.
Teo Mallara now in a very solid second place. He's 20 seconds off the leader, Maren Hugavin, who's done an absolutely stellar job. As we see a car spinning in the background. Was that Maxwell, perhaps? It looked like a wizard.
Possibly. Don't they all?
Yeah, to be fair, it is, what, 3/4 of the field? Meester's now trying to get his lap back on Fabio Oliveira. And that looks like Clayton Buller heading to the pit lane.
He is, yeah. He's had to bite the bullet.
So we'll see if he decides to change tyres or not. We have our monkeys in the pit lane, loaded up with peanuts, ready to tell us if he changes tyres or not. As we stick with this battle, Meester's trying to get his lap back. Obviously feels like he has a lot more pace. And the monkey
down the outside of him
has buckets more pace. And the
Lots of
monkeys
grip
in the
as
pit
well.
lane.
Go on, sorry.
Sorry, Steve. We have a message from the monkeys in the pit lane. They're telling us they want more nuts.
Nuts. I'll give them nuts.
They have now confirmed that Clayton Buller, the absolute mad lad that he is, has not changed tyres. He had a little splash of fuel and is straight back out there.
Well, I'm absolutely gobsmacked.
I mean, I know these llamas are absolutely crazy, but I think that's taking it one step further than anyone thought he would do.
Well, it's either brave or stupid, so we'll see with... it's either brave or a blither, shall we say, as Clayton would say. We'll certainly know in this next 8 minutes or so whether that gamble's paid off.
So, Buller's pit stop has dropped him to 7th. Innes's pit stop dropped him to 9th. So, I believe those two will be fighting out towards the end of the race for the leading animal. Well, having said that, Innes is... How far back is Innes? He might be a bit too far back.
Yeah, I think you might be right there, Mark. He's going to be a good 10, 15 seconds. Maybe just too much for him to overhaul.
Yeah, there we go. He's about 8 seconds back. Which in 8 minutes...
Close.
That was very close. So we've got a replay of what's happened here between Pratt and Hugavin. Hugavin's made the place, cut back, and Pratt, I think, has just missed his braking zone.
Yeah, it's so easy to do, as you can see there, and on board with J. Pratt. Ooh, squeaky bum time that.
Definite brown flag moment. Hugavin makes his way past Oliveira and starts chasing down Meesters in the other GT3. His lead is 16 seconds now, as we see a little spin for Tempera. And
that was close
Innes
as well.
Gets past.
That was,
yeah, that
was
was
a good
close.
job at Innes. Yeah, it was a good job at Innes had his eyes on Storks then, because that could have ended nastily. And it looks like the rain has started to ease off now. So no more rain.
Clayton Buller clearly doing an anti-rain dance. Have you ever seen a llama dancing?
Not in the flesh. Probably my worst nightmares.
So, and in fact, that gap between Buller and Innes has come down visibly, as we saw them there on the main straight. Innes looked a lot closer to Buller.
Yeah, I wonder if Clayton's had a bit of an incident somewhere. There he is, as Berry just passes him. Now only 3 seconds between the two drivers.
Yeah, that gap is coming down with every passing corner. Yeah, I think while that decision to go for slicks was certainly brave, I'm not sure it was necessarily the best decision for Buller.
A second between them now.
Yeah, with 4 minutes to go, I don't know if Buller's going to be able to hang on to this for too much longer. There they are. I mean, look at that. Look how much Innes has closed up.
This is fresh tyres versus old ones.
I don't know about that. I think it's more wets versus dries.
Oh, of course, yes. Clayton's not changed onto wets,
still on the slicks.
Yes, of course he is. Oh, flash of the lights there from Innes.
I think that's mind games. Yeah, there was
he's Innes going to give him the hump.
I'm not sure. We will have a look at the standings board, and yeah, there we go. Innes has made the move stick. Yeah, I actually heard from Innes that he had not coming together with Buller, but the two were racing side by side in a touring car race once, and Buller made an absolutely audacious overtake, and Innes sort of gave him a flash of the lights as if to say sort of, yeah, nice one mate, good job. And apparently Buller sort of got so fixated on that, oh, he's flashing me, why is he flashing me, did I do something wrong? But yeah, apparently now, anytime Innes is sat behind Buller, he'll just be sat there flashing the lights just to get in Buller's head.
Nice.
Camel versus llama mind games.
Two minutes left. 2 minute warning.
Indeed, these guys will be getting the
Josh
white flag.
Martinez out there
soon.
by 6 seconds, so...
Martinez out there by 6 seconds. Hugvin out there by 16 seconds.
Yeah, it's been a masterclass so far.
It certainly has.
Although Merrin has had his moments with incidents and accidents, so yeah, it's been a bit of a race of attrition. It's just a pity we've been robbed of the
we've been robbed of
Rob incident where it's been such a shame because Rob was doing so well. He was looking so strong around this track.
Yeah, unfortunately, Clayton Buller now really starting to drop back behind Innes and almost falling into the clutches of Tempera.
Yeah, be looking for that white flag and the checkered in the next minute or two, just to try and save his bacon when it comes to that.
Certainly will, yeah. So there's Oliveira with Meesters a lap down, but right behind him. Will Meesters go for the overtake? these two, of course, came together, oh gosh, was it lap 5 or 6 or so?
Yeah, something like that. I don't think Rich was close enough to make the move there, and I think he knew that. And it was a try to make, be a bit more patient and wait maybe for the next lap.
Yeah. So that's Terme going a little bit wider than is optimal. Parker wanting to unlap himself.
Tommy in the pits.
Terme in the pits indeed. And we're just waiting. So this should be white flag, I would have thought.
Yeah, we'll be close.
So yeah, so there was Hugavin going up to turn 3 now. So yeah, I would have thought this would be white flag. Malarin has brought that gap down to 12 seconds, so he's doing really well there. But unfortunately, not enough time left in the race to be able to do anything with it. I think everyone now fairly spread out. The only two battles that could possibly change are Pratt and Hansel in the GT3. You can see they're about a second apart. And Buller and Tempera that are also a second apart, but we know Buller has those dry tyres on. So we'll see on the final lap, can Tempera wrestle one more spot away from Buller? And as we see, there is Hugavin on the final straight. Comes to cross the finish line.
We've still got 1 lap to go.
And then he hits the white flag, yeah. So yeah, 1 lap to go.
There we have the white flag waving.
There we go. So this is Buller defending heavily from Tempera. It goes all the way to the right. Tempera in the slipstream. And oh, Buller coming across. Tempera now takes the inside line, and I don't think Buller will be able to do an awful lot about that, to be honest.
No, not with Tempera on the inside on wet tyres and Clayton on dries there on slicks. So no, that was a very, very mismatch. Very big mismatch between the two drivers in the cars.
Definitely, yeah. So yeah, Malarin still inching away at that gap, getting ever closer to Hugavin. But yeah, with just a couple of corners left to go, I think that is unfortunately just a little bit too late in the day. And yep, there we go, confirmation that Maren Hugavin wins the GTP class. And so yeah, Malarin did manage to get that gap down, but unfortunately not quite enough to be able to challenge for the overall victory. Martinez though, although David Ward did start to catch at the end, running theme here, it looks like he's got just 2 more corners to go and he's got a 5-second gap. He's done absolutely everything right, to be honest. And there we go, out of the final corner, and just the long stretch to cross the finish line. And there we go, confirmation that the winner of the GT3 field is Josh Martinez.
Yeah, congratulations to both winners, and obviously the podium places as well. Well done, great race. Congratulations.
So there we go. There are our top 3 in the GTP field. We've got Hugavin from Malarin from Piers Barry. Maxwell in 4th and Tommy in 5th from Forrester, Kelly, Parker, McManaman and White round out the top 10. Rob Miller did get the fastest lap, but unfortunately after his hardware issues, classified down in 12th position.
Once again, confirmation there. We've got Josh Martinez winning. He got the fastest lap as well as pole position, followed by Haynes and Ward. Then we have Chalcroft 4th, and Pratt, Hansel, Innes, Tempera, Clayton Buller, Oliveira, Cook, Chan, McIntyre, Hudson, Nieces and the 2 Peppers.
And as we see confirmation of the overall driver standings, we've got Hugavin on the top with 216 points, just 10 points ahead of Malarin on 206. Those two really starting to stretch their legs ahead of Maxwell, Tomei, Miller, Kelly, and I missed the rest. We've had 22 drivers in the GTP field so far this season. You can see from 12th onwards we have Kozinski, Murphy, Hill, and I need to start speaking quicker. In the team standings, we've got Wizards Black Sapphire from Wizards Fire Ruby from Wizards Rose Gold. It's an all Wizards podium.
Into the GT3s, we have Ben Crook in 1st place at the moment, 189 points. It's followed by Josh Martinez, Jay Pratt, Esridge, Hayes, Chalcroft, Walker, and then we go down to 10th place, which is Rich Meesters, Nathan O'Loole, Cook, Le Chatelier, Murphy, Chan, Hansel, Bardsley, Tempera and Miles, and keep going. 18th place is a combination of Stephen Green and Mark Innes, with James Pepper, Steve Pepper, Mark Kelly, Langridge, Kiskek, Leopold and a couple of others. And then we've got Kenneth Olive tied with Pete McIntyre and Ryan Suzuki under them. Teams wise is JPI Esports out front 279, with Revolution E-Racing, Nebula Armour, Risky Racing, Minardi Sports, Sim Sports and Stupid Uguri. Down 11th we've got Racing for Algarve, One Legged Wonder, Cool Camel Racing Blue, Larmageddon, Speed Eagles, CXW Racing, Mad Works. They're in, I think it was about 19th.
So we have with us, joining us in the commentary booth now, we've got Josh Martinez, who is the winner of the GT3 class. So, Josh, how you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Congratulations on the win there, Josh.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So yeah, just tell us about the race from your point of view.
Well, going into it, I actually was not too confident. Not a big fan of Fuji, so I felt like the track was a bit slippery in all of my practice sessions. But then qualifying, nailed a good lap, and then the race was just management, to be honest. Just keeping the gap behind me at a manageable level. And then when the rain came, that was interesting. I just kept going until I felt like the car couldn't handle it anymore, and then said, all right, I guess it's time for wet tires.
Did you find that there was a big difference excuse me, when you had to change, or was it a gradual change of conditions?
I expected it to be a drastic difference, but it ended up being very gradual. I don't know if iRacing made any sort of tire model changes, but in previous races for other iRacing officials or whatever, the transition for me from dry to wet was always very fast. But this one, it was maybe just because it was very light rain, it was very slow. I kept going into turn one, this is going to be the lap where I, miss my braking zone and go off track, but then the car just slowed down and I made it through turn one. And then the next lap would come around, I'd say the same thing. This is going to be it. I'm going to spin off track on this lap. And then for some reason the tires still had grip. So I just kept going until I finally had that moment where the tires did lose grip, and that's when I said, okay, time to come in for the wets. But it was like, 14 laps into the rain. It was very gradual.
Yeah, nice one.
Yeah, I think you definitely made the right call on the tyres, and yeah, you just had a brilliant race overall. So well done. Thank you for coming and chatting with us, Josh.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, take care, mate. See you on track.
So now, also joining us in the commentary booth, we have the overall winner and the winner of the GTP class. We've got Merrin. So Merrin, how you doing?
Doing fine, all right. Bit tired after the race, but had a good time, and I guess it's always a good time being here.
Yeah. So tell us about the race from your end. What happened?
Well, to be honest, I feel very lucky to be here. I don't really think I should have deserved the win on pace. Rob was very quick today, but unfortunately had mechanical issues. Dan got a penalty. Sure had an incident on lap 1, and I was there to pick up the pieces, but I guess it's also part of the game.
Well, congratulations on the
quite
win.
A bit of rain.
Yeah, I was just about to say that as well. Yeah, how did you find the rain at Fuji? Did you manage to take the risk and go on, stay on slicks, or were you fairly much like most people heading on to wets?
No, we stayed on slicks for quite a while. I think Gavin was the first one changing over to dries, and based on lap times, it just really wasn't. He changed to wet, sorry, but based on lap times, it just really wasn't the way to go yet. We ended up getting fairly close to our pit stop cycle. I think I short fueled in the first stint, expecting maybe some kind of rain, so just did enough fuel for to cover off the tires, and I think in the end also the pace dropped because of the rain, so we went a few laps shorter. I think still had 2 laps to go before I should have pitted, based on the strategy I went out with, so it was alright.
Very good.
I think lastly, you are leading the championship. Is it too early to start thinking about the overall title?
It's with Turin, the competition's always way too early. But we'll be both out for Sebring. Then we'll have Road Atlanta, Portimao, and Daytona to go. So everything can happen still.
Lovely. Thanks for joining us, Merrin.
Yeah, take care.
Thank you for having me.
Enjoy the rest of the season, man.
Thank you. Bye bye.
And next up, the next round is at Sebring International Speedway. So yeah, that's about all we've got time for today. So yeah, make sure you tune in next time for Sebring. And I think our socials are just popping up on screen now. So if you want to come and race with us, or just want to say hi, just scan the QR code or click on the link. They will also be in the description. And thank you very much for joining us and for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, everybody. You take care, and we'll see you on track next time. Bye for now.